Hi, people of God. The reason why I'm doing this video is to talk to you guys about how people like to behoove you or confuse you, make you a bad by certain things that they do or certain things they're talking about the spiritual world. The spiritual world is the same as the physical world that you live in every day. This is the same thing. That's how things are hidden. That's how the veil is placed over your eyes and things are hidden from you because you're dealing with everyday situations and they're all the same. They're all the same. Nothing changed. Nothing was any different. You're dealing with the same thing. So let's now we talk about slavery days, right? Slavery hasn't changed from now and what went on back in the AB, AC, and all of that BC stuff. It's the same thing. They want you to function out of illogic. If it is not logical, it is therefore not of God, nor is it of mankind, because it's illogical. And these type of things is what brings about alienation or the alien race, the celestial, or whatever the case may be. Illogic. At this point, we must begin the process of advancement. This is the reason why they call us apes and monkeys and all these different animal terms, because you have not elevated to your source of power as mankind, which is your intellect has not advanced whatsoever. They do this to our children in school. I tell you about them building roads, like raising walls in the mind. When you talking about you're raising walls in the mind, sometimes they're attacking children at the elementary state to prevent them from reaching their full potential as humanity. So if I'm sitting up here and I'm creating mental blocks because I have studied the brain and I know how the brain works. I am creating mental blocks in the brain to stop your advancement as mankind. How will you be able to identify this blockage? A lot of people are not able to identify that these people are raising walls within the mind. You're challenging giants that don't even exist. That's the reason why they're getting away with so much, because we're fighting giants that are not giants. They're just regular human beings. But the display says that it is a giant. It is ferocious. It is way bigger than you. So now you have what we call a fear complex. All of this is psychological. When what you're fighting may be the size of a spray can, and you refuse to fight that which is the size of a spray can because you have been blinded and thought to believe that it is ferocious. We are dealing with a time where we must begin the process of education. I know what you're saying. Hey, we got schools, elementary school, K through 12, we got colleges, we got all these different things. And I cannot tell you that that's where our children are attacked the most. From the moment they enter elementary school, their minds are riddled the most. They are taught to be unproductive individuals. They are taught not to excel. They are taught not to sit up there and seek after greatness, because this is the world's expectation of them, to be nothing, to be a slave and a captive to a society that will never ever properly reward them. And guess what? They can outdo this society that we are already living in. They can outdo it easily. But guess what? They're being held back by their captives. And when their captives can no longer hold them back, they will create a society that is strictly where they don't have to be hands on and they can kill you remotely. You have to elevate to the point that we have to realize that we're dealing with a slave society and slave minded people who say that they are masteries in their craft. And their mastery craft is confusing you and keeping you riddled and keeping you without. At some point, there has to be a point of elevation. At some point, there has to be a point where you say, you know what, I want more for my life. I cannot continue on with this. I can't continue on with this. I will never be appreciated nor respected if I continue on the path that I'm on. And you have to walk away. And that's what we call winners lose, where you replace what was serving a purpose that sustains you, saying it is unsustainable to stay. So this is an automatic win because it will be ignorant to stay in certain situations. Now, we're dealing with this right now in our society. But now I ask you the question, what happens when we can no longer walk away? What happens when you can't just pack up your bags and say, okay, this place is not great for me. I am going to migrate to fields that are more inhabitable, more sustainable. And then I'll settle there. And then you notice the same problem going on there. And no matter where you go, you're going to go through the same problems, the same issues, the same processes that one always goes through. At some point, we have to fight against the darkness of this world. It is a such thing as called infinite evil. It will sit up here and consume you and the world with you. We must gain knowledge. We must teach our children to gain knowledge. Our children at this point has not recognized that the more knowledge you have, the more that you can combat this thing that has been combating us. And we can fight this thing that has been fighting us. I cannot tell you, sometimes our children learn, and the things that they learn is like as if it was taken from them by force. It was taken from them by force. I cannot tell you. I picked up an IXL program and I started paying for an IXL program. And I cannot tell you that I'm sitting up here, I'm doing kindergarten work. And it was as if something was trying to steal the knowledge from me. How is that possible? Because we're dealing with a matrix system. This is technology. This is technology trying to play mind control. I don't think nobody pays attention to this. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy goes to see the wizard. And if you pay attention, even in The Wiz does the same scene. There is them praising the wizard. And they in The Wiz it set up there and it changed the colors. It was like now it's sexy yellow and oh now it's wonderful green and emerald and all this different stuff. And nobody took that as a sign back in the days that you're going to go into a society that's completely up under mind control and captivity of somebody because of technology. Remind you, he's sitting up here, he's talking to them, scaring them. What is he using? Technology. This is technology that this person used to gain mental control of the people. Now, what else do we know? We know that they're not just gaining control using technology, because technology can hinder a lot of different things, because we talk about woe cometh and vibranium and the wavelengths that can actually we can hear without possibly hearing and understanding. And God even talks about that. You see and you see not, you hear and you hear not, for this is this nation. So we see, and our vision is clear. But what kind of technology has deprived us of our vision where we cannot see clearly to deal with our enemies? What is this that is depriving us? And how are you going to find out those keys? It's through education. But how many of our people are being pushed towards education, being pushed towards being engineers, being pushed towards being doctors, because they want you to be mammies. A mammy is somebody that's taking care of somebody else's kids. Whores, which is those that are selling their bodies or having sex, or a maid, which is somebody's cleaning up somebody else's mess. And I mean, you can be on a corporate level and stuck cleaning up somebody else's mess. And that's maids. And that's where they see our people as, no matter what level. And I don't care how you put it together, because guess what? Like I just now verbalized to you, we're entering into relationships with men we feel that we can expose and share our bodies with, and you cannot, because they don't have respect for your body, because they were never taught to have respect for themselves, because they're up under that same, this is ingrained. They're under mind control. They cannot stop themselves. We must educate ourselves. We must renew our mind, body, soul, and spirits to actually intercede and interfere on a level that we have never interfered on. And I'm one of those people, I was raised up in the church, woman of God, raised up in the church. And one thing the church told us, say, okay, don't go into the way of certain things. Don't go into certain areas, and, don't work for certain people. And now it's coming a time where we must enter those areas to take back territory. We must work certain jobs that we may not even be fond of working, to engineer a future for the greater good of mankind. Because whether you believe it or not, there is a alien and extraterrestrial race that is mankind, but is operating against us, because they have a superiority complex. And this complex has taken them to the point where it has alienated every culture it is, and they say that they're now superior. We must. I don't know if you guys remember Jesus talking to Cain in the first beginning of the Bible. And I always tell people this story because it was the thing that impacted me the most. He said, Cain, sin lies at the door. What is it desire? Cain, its desire is to rule over you. You don't get a choice, Cain. You must rule over it. I wasn't given a choice. I must. educate myself. I must develop. I must grow. I must expand. I must renew myself, my mind, my body, my soul, and my spirit, and expand. And I don't get a choice in the situation, because had I had my own choice, certain things I would not be very fond of. But because I don't get my own choice, because there is a stipulation on certain things when you have a race of your own people trying to enslave you, trying to perpetrate and get you against another race of people that have not actually done anything to you yet. But they may, because to keep the fruit going between black and whites, they have to keep up a certain amount of agenda for you hating another culture that barely intercedes with you or you communicate with barely. See, that's where you're not understanding. They say, oh, the white man this, the white man that. And when you enter into the court and you see the black man that's standing next to you, talking about they're in support of you, just go along with whatever go on. You'll wake up to the fact that the white man ain't really the issue, because pretty much you seeing more black people who have power puppeteering from afar. But nobody's going to call them on that. Nobody's going to call them on that. They don't want to be called the black market no more. But at the same time, half of the organs that's on the black market came from black people, came from Hispanic people, came from people that were even Caucasian. See, but as long as you're confused enough to think that they have not attacked the Caucasian race and kidnapped their kids too, you would never sit up there and question the issue, or the fact that they have created genocide in every country it is. So now we're blaming, and guess what? This is what it said, and I want to make sure that it's said clear. This is what it said. We're pointing the fingers and blaming everybody, but you missed the actual corporate of doing this. And what I told you, I have not been yet able to name it, but when I am able to name it, and I know that it recruits from a lot of different sources, I will name it. But at this point, I'm going to call it no name. And it's serving and having many faces. And although this game has been played on many thrones, we're dealing with the same thing. And it will show you signs and tokens in the dark. But at the same time, it's not that clear as what I say, because it recruits from within them. There is much we're dealing with in this season. We have to get to the source of the problem, uproot the source of all these problems, because whether we believe it or not, we're not battling people whose skin color is different from ours. This is if you're white. And I remember hearing the word poor white trash and all this different stuff and all this craziness. And then they're trying to wonder how they got to be labeled as that. And their people was not that. And I gotta tell them that you're dealing with the same color purple that black people deal with. That's why most people can relate to certain things. And that was a movie as well. You're dealing with what, and if you ever read the book, I pray you read the book, because the movie does not dictate the book, because originally their father of the two young women that's in that book was an entrepreneur. He was building and was attacked by his own community. He was a pastor who was building a legacy, and he was attacked by his own community because they didn't like what he verbalized in his church. They didn't like what he symbolized in the market and in the sales business. So they attacked. But I want you to pay attention to, after the attack, who was used in the place and who was the management of that person being used in the replacement of the father or the dad in that story. See, because in these days, we will no longer hide the truth from you. We will be as clear and flamboyantly. I will not speak in parables because I know that God sits up there and he will make it clear speech sound like parables to those ears that are not supposed to receive it. So I'm not worried. But I am sending this message out. It is time, my people, to educate yourself and stop blaming other races for our downfall, because our race has had its own part in our demise.